So I guess let's just start easy. Like, what are you up to right now?
Well, besides being dealing with the obnoxious weather we're all getting here, just getting ready to enter the studio for start recording our new album.
Oh, cool. So there is a new one on the way.
Yes.
Do you have a title for it?
Not yet.
Same staff.
Yeah, we're working with Ben Schigel again.
Didn't you record with Jason Sukoff at some point?
Yeah, we did our 2007 release, Resurrection, with him.
I've been listening to The Infection all day. That is a rad record, man.
Killer, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
How do you, I guess out of personal curiosity, really, how do you feel that compares to your last one?
I think all of our albums are a step forward, of course, you know, as a musician, and that always critiquing, you know, what, I guess, my own craft, or, you know, what I'm a part of. I always look at everything as a step forward, and that's, you know, during the process of, you know, I guess while being married to it. And then after a while, you get to look back on it, and then you can just kind of start critiquing it. So I think it stands as some of my favorite songs still, but you know, if I were to critique it now, I'd say it could have used a little more, I guess, fastness. But at the time, it seemed like everybody was like trying to go out, you know, like out fast each other. And I remember seeing the shortly after doing the record, seeing the Dr. Dre commercial where he's Dr. Pepper commercial where he's telling everyone to slow down. That's kind of like how we felt at the time. So, looking at it that way, you know, I'm still 100% confident about it, but it could have used a little more in the speed department, I guess.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was thinking the same thing about it's like kind of doomy, groovy, not so much with the blast beats and all that, although there is like enough of that, you know, fast metal thing. But I kind of like that. That's my style personally.
Yes, likewise. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm just getting old or if I'm tired or whatever, but I just can't keep up with the fast stuff anymore.
That's kind of that was kind of the same response that we were having when doing that.
Kind of a random segue here, but how do you feel about the breakdown, like the hardcore?
I've always been a fan of it, you know. I definitely grew up liking hardcore music as well as metal, so I've always been a fan of it. I'm kind of over the current style of the staccato matching double bass thing that just seems, you know, I mean, we were doing this 11, 12 years ago, so I'm almost sick of it, you know, in our own regard as well. So it's just out of control, and you know, just personally looking for something a little more interesting and with a little more substance.
Yeah, that's kind of how, I mean, there's a lot of that sentiment right now in the scene, of the metal scene, wherever that is. I don't know. I guess it's on the internet, but mostly it's just like, fuck that trendy hardcore breakdown thing. And I guess I couldn't help but think about that when I was listening to The Infection, because it's kind of devoid of that. It doesn't have, it fits into that pocket, that groove, but it's not that cliche. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for noticing that. Yeah, I mean, well, you know, we're in a heavy band. Of course, we like the feeling that the groove, you know, of a breakdown gives. It's just always try to find new, interesting ways to achieve that.
I don't know if I'm crazy, but it seems like there's less electronics and clean singing on this offering.
Maybe the electronics, maybe listen again. Definitely devoid of clean singing. Just wasn't feeling it all the time. You know, I kind of did what I felt was natural. I always do. Producers try to get me to sing more. But this time around, it was just like whatever I felt. And so subsequently, that's what we get. It's just a lot more screaming this time around.
Yeah.
But the electronics, I think that they're definitely there in every song and really prominent. Maybe you're just not noticing them because they blend so well. Right, you know, I mean, we're not doing the in the sense of like trying to be, you know, like a lot of these, newer bands that are incorporating electronics these days, it's very like the way they're mixed, they're like very prominent and, you know, like almost like a guitar solo. It's like meant to be heard, whereas electronics that we've always done have just kind of added another layer or another like emotion or a feeling, like a director would put when the director puts the score in the movie. You're not really paying attention to the music, but it's creating a tension, you know, or creating a feeling. So a lot of our stuff is subsonic, or a lot of it's just blended right in there, and to help capture, you know, what we're saying or what we're trying to do or feel.
Yeah, and I dig that about it. I know that there's at the end of, I think might be the second to last track before the bonus, I think, on The Infection, there's a good long, like, almost subsonic bass, like... Right.
It's an example, like a song like the track Impending Doom, there's hardly any guitar or drums up until the first chorus kicks in. It's all electronics. It just sounds like, you know, crazy weird noises and everything like that.
Well, yeah, I guess you're just good at fucking implementing it.
Thank you.
I completely forgot my next question, but I have one that I want to ask. The DVD that you released, you've only done one, right? Have you done several?
There's 3 now.
3, wow. I am behind.
Yeah, we had one in 2004 called The Dehumanizing Process, which was this documentary that followed us writing and recording The Impossibility of Reason and then touring on it. Mm-hmm. And then we did a making of the album Resurrection documentary. And if you're familiar with Sukov, I definitely suggest picking that up because it's hysterical. I'm sure it's all over YouTube. He's funny. And then we just released this summer a documentary called Coming Alive, which is the writing, recording, and touring for The Infection. And that just came out in the summer. And it also has another DVD attached to it, which is our Chimaira Christmas 10 live show. And it comes with a live CD, so boom.
Nice.
The whole thing is called Coming Alive.
Excellent. Well, I apologize. I should have done more research on that, but that was a good plug, getting you to say it, right?
There you go.
You still had dreads in this one that I saw. It was a while ago.
Yeah, that's the Dehumanizing Process.
Okay. So in that, I wanted to bring up the point that you kind of established the band as a really organized, hardworking outfit. That was a theme that was really prominent, is that there was just very down to business. And not that you're, not fun social guys. I'm sure you're fantastic, but the one thing that I noticed most and I respected most that a lot of bands don't appreciate is the business aspect.
Well, first and foremost, the sad thing that you find out, I guess, after doing a band for a decade, no matter how hard you fight it or whatever you try to do, at the end of the day, you have to realize this is a business, 100%. So if you don't have any sort of skills in the business area, then, you're going to wind up spending a lot of money having other people do it. And I know there's been recent articles where talking about bands not making money and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that, artists have to pay for and whatnot. So we've been lucky because members of this band bring forth more than just musicianship. And, for example, our keyboard player, Chris, has done all of the website work for our band for over a decade. So right there, that saves our group tens of thousands of dollars, or a record label that kind of money, not having to even mess around with that stuff, So I guess the more business savvy you are and the more capable you are of doing things other than just rocking out, the better off you're going to be business-wise. Where it becomes tricky is there's always a fine line between business and personal. And, sometimes you get in, people take business moves personally, so it's just the fine line of keeping that in line and having a good time with it. But at the end of the day, you have to remember it's a business. We've learned to have more fun through the years, but the minute you take your eyes off the prize or aren't as hungry is when things will start to, go awry. Yeah, I mean, it's a similar pattern. I think that just being in this band is very cyclic. You start off and you're writing and recording, and then you tour for a year and a half, 2 years, come back, write, record, same thing. And, the beginning of a touring cycle or writing cycle, you're hungry again. You're excited. You've been home for a minute. You've had time to decompress. And it's staying sane through the touring cycle that never really seems to work. So by the time, you're done touring, you're just like, man, I can't stand doing this anymore. And you walk away from it, detach, and then you get that hunger again. This time around, I think with the studio approach, there's definitely hunger there, more so than ever. And it's good to be 6 albums in and still have a fire and a hunger to improve as an artist, make music that not only fans of Chimaira will enjoy, but also fans of metal, and hopefully beyond that. So it never disappears, even if there are times where you can't stand what you do.
A lot of bands start out believing in sort of the 80s rock star mentality that they can just drink and do drugs and rock out, and they'll get signed, and once they get the magical record label contract, everything's going to be okay. They're going to be on planes and buses, and obviously none of that is true, right? You have to work really hard. You have to focus. It has to be kind of
it is to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm. Really?
I mean, there are buses, there are planes, there are, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever. I mean, all that stuff does exist, but, it doesn't just come with it. I mean, I think it just comes with the territory. You have to work to get there, though. You have to be able to write a song. You don't write a good song, then nobody cares. Depending on what your genre is, I guess, how much debauchery you will encounter. Mm-hmm. If you're, playing like metal, like, really extreme metal, you're probably not going to experience nearly the same luxuries as a hip hop star,
Yeah.
But in the same sense, you're still doing the same thing. You're performing and making money and somewhat, and you're around who the hell knows what. Yeah, every city comes with something different. But I mean, it's not to the scale, I guess, that for a heavy metal band that you would see like on an MTV level. No one in this scene is rolling around like Lady Gaga or anything like that.
Yeah.
Maybe Metallica.
Maybe.
But I don't even think so.
Yeah, they put in a whole lot of work. They may have earned it.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely. But was that at all, like, was there a harsh realization for you at any point with that? Like, did you start out with your eye on the prize, knowing that it was going to be a long, hard road and that you had to have a lot of savvy, or were you just having fun and at some point you got kind of slapped in the face with, oh, there's this whole underbelly of the industry that I have to deal with?
I don't know. I think that it's been a little bit of both. I mean, everything's always fun. If there wasn't some fun attached to it, then there's no point. And that, I even include that with the business sense. Sometimes it's fun to see like a unravel and work out really well. Sometimes it's not fun to see it turn out to be disastrous, but you learn a lot from it. I think that I never really knew what to expect, and I just made music that I enjoyed. And I guess in hindsight, people probably thought I was crazy or delusional. When this band started, I remember just talking to our original bass player, and we probably didn't even have, at this point, 1 or 2 songs fully written yet. And he was saying that he was going to go to college and wouldn't always be able to be in the band. And I was like, well, what are you going to do when we signed to Roadrunner? And like, I had this instinct that, that was going to happen. And it was 3 years later that it did.
Wow.
And it's just kind of weird, just have this drive to succeed and a drive to the music that we like to create be heard and make a little bit of a name for ourselves in the scene that we all grew up loving and admiring, and just each year as it comes. We've had some good years, some bad. So, but it's been worth it in the end, because we're able to see that, our name has meaning in this scene. We've inspired the younger bands of this deathcore scene, whether that be a good thing or a bad thing to some. You can definitely hear Chimaira in 99% of those bands. And that's pretty cool. And, if people learn anything from us, whether it be from our DVDs to see how it does take hard work and it is a business, or just see like how we interact with each other, or whatever they learn, that we're influencing people, and that's a great feeling, and it makes it all worth it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I mean, that's definitely something that I really, really enjoyed about the DVD, was seeing how you all treat each other, how you work professionally and also as friends. In that, let's see, there was also an issue with Andals. He left because he didn't want to tour anymore, right?
Yes.
Right. So is he still down with touring? What surrounds that?
I think that, we're going to take time to assess that all ourselves about touring these days, so I'm not saying that we're done touring or anything like that. But, things are changing, and with just touring in general has become increasingly harder and harder for bands. So we all need to take steps as a business to take measures to make sure that when we go out, it's worth our time and worth our while. And, we all have families and whatnot to take care of now. So, I don't even know where anyone's headspace is at that with the moment. Right now, the current focus is making a great album, and that's what we're working on.
Awesome. Have you written any songs for the album?
Yeah, we're somewhere around 20 ideas right around now.
Did you say 20?
And yeah, 20, yep. And it's just more or less skeletons. There's no vocals attached to it just yet. But that's kind of the way we roll. We just write a bunch of the song basic ideas down, and then once we get into the studio, we kind of fine-tune everything and develop it once we're in there. More experimentation and more spontaneity, rather than coming in with a bunch of, the riffs and the music ideas are rehearsed, but then, fine-tuning it is just kind of gets a little bit redundant, so we like to have the spontaneity of the studio.
Some bands do. You said 20, which, somewhat surprises me, but I have heard that there are bands that will write up to 35 songs and then whittle it down to just the best of the best in the studio. Is that kind of the path that you travel?
Exactly. We have 20 ideas right around now, and there's no signs of stopping. I think that continuously through the studio process, we'll still keep on writing, just because we'll have the drums set up at all times, and if we have an idea, boom. So it's really never turned off, and you just kind of approach daily, try to work on a song a day or until it's completed. When we did Resurrection, for example, that was the first song we did, and everything was done on that song before we moved on to the next. So it's just kind of mixing a hodgepodge of different various ways, different methods. There's no real true definition. We'll jam, we'll write using the computer, we'll write at home, we'll write together. It's just the end result is all that matters for us. Doesn't matter how it got there.
I think it has a great effect because Chimaira records, they are strong from beginning to end, whereas there are other bands that I imagine must have just written the 12 tracks or however many they felt need to go on the record, and it feels like they kind of got stuck with some weak ones, some fillers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've had that. I thank you for saying what you do. But sometimes we feel we have a couple fillers here and there, so we're still always striving to make what we feel is the strong from start to finish. But that's just being a critic of our own work.
Of course. I guess you have to be.
Yeah, that's overcritical, I should say.
Overcritical. Does that ever, being overcritical, as you say, is it ever damage like your work? Do you ever feel like you toss something that might have been good or guides you in the wrong direction?
Yeah, we've definitely been guilty of that. I remember one time when we were working on The Impossibility of Reason, there's a song on that album called Crawl, which some would say might be considered filler. And when we were working on it, there was this really amazing bridge that took us a really long time to perfect, and it was super technical and crazy, but just in the context of the song, like, it made no sense. But we thought it was like the coolest part, and at the end of the day, that was like the only part like we really all liked in the song, and we wound up cutting it. I guess some people like that song. I don't know. It's just funny to look back on it. While we were doing it, we thought we were making the right move, but in hindsight, it was like, maybe that wasn't the best idea. But that's just kind of how it rolls. You're just married to being in the moment, and we've had the times like where you go in with just a certain batch of songs, and then you're forced into that. Our first album was a prime example of that. We had been writing, and then we were just told to go into the studio basically after we signed, and we're like, oh, well, we don't really have, just more than these songs, so that's okay, fine, let's just record those, boom. So at the end of the day, we weren't, happy with our first effort, but we learned after that, and I think that we, as a collective work, I score us an A-.
An A-.
just being goofy. I'm proud of everything that we've done, and there's some blemishes here and there, but as a whole, I still enjoy and can still listen to our albums,
That's
start to finish.
Do you actually go back and listen to your own records?
Definitely. I think that it's important to. I think further as you develop, or as I develop anyway. Sometimes I forget some things that I might have done. There might have been like a style or even a voice, and maybe I stopped using it or something like that. Or I don't know. There's something about listening to stuff that helps me remember. Oh yeah, you do that. That kind of like. I don't know. Wouldn't even know what the word for it is, but I just pick up things that like sometimes I forgot that we do, or forgot how we wrote something or whatnot. I don't know. It's just interesting. It always gives a new perspective, and I always hear it on different ears. Some days I'll really love it and think it's fantastic, and some days I'm like, oh man, we really missed the mark there, whatever. It depends, I guess, on the mood, and I think that's with all music, though. Sometimes it just depends on your mood, I don't know anyone that can listen to Cannibal Corpse 24/7.
Cannibal Corpse, maybe. Maybe their mothers, I don't know.
Yeah, I love that band, though.
Yeah, they're great, actually. I'm a fan of a guy named Tom Waits. He's not metal at all. He's like a folk singer, but he talks about his old music as he looks back on it as like baby pictures. It's sort of just where you came from and the ancient history of it, but it's like kind of embarrassing to show somebody a picture of you like wearing those ugly shorts when you were like 4. It's the same thing with his records. Do you ever feel like that?
Definitely. I hear that's a great analogy, actually, and a perfect way to describe it. It's exactly like that. I'll hear things on our first album, for example, where I cringe, or even on the last album, I'm like, oh, that's, again, that's just being the overcritical side, and as a whole, I wind up, just enjoying it and for what it is, and then it does have that sense of like, yeah, those were some good times, and it's just such a different time period, though. I mean, each album, our lives were so drastically different than they are from each other, because we always wait around 2 years between, and a lot happens in your life in 1 year, let alone 2. So it is really sometimes bizarre to look at it all and think like, man, one side or one way it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, writing our first EP and recording our first EP, but that was like 11 years ago. And in one way it feels like, 11 days ago feels like ancient history.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's weird. It really is. I can't use any other word to describe it other than weird. And, but yeah, I learn something every time, and there's like a humbling experience to like, you pointed out that Tom Waits said that it was like, a reminder of where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I guess, what I was trying to get at, of like, I learned something of what I did in the past every time, just, I guess that's what I meant by that.
It's been a long haul. These, like you said, 11 years, probably longer than that since, inception. Is there any signs of just tiring, looking forward to retirement or anything at all like that? Are you still rearing to go?
No, I think that we're rearing to go, and yeah, I don't see any signs of slowing down anytime soon. Like I said, we're really charged up and fired up for writing and recording this new album, and excited about it and hungry again. So until the hunger is gone, then we'll still continue.
I guess speaking of the past, you're a Cleveland band, right? Pretty much.
Yes. Right.
Are there any challenges coming out of a state like Ohio?
I guess so, but I don't know. I don't want to make it sound like it wasn't hard for us to get signed, but it really wasn't. There, like in Cleveland at the time, there was like a clique of bands that would always play together, and that just kind of seemed like, from an outsider's perspective, like a dead end. So instead of going that route, we just started playing regionally, and because we started playing regionally, we got noticed from, all sorts of people that could tell their friends about it, rather than just staying focused in one city. So through word of mouth and then just using the internet, we were able to get signed pretty quickly. And it also helped that we knew people that were on like hardcore record labels, because we had all come from the hardcore scene. So we signed our first independent deal, probably only being a band for a year, not even. And it was as simple as writing an email and kind of saying like what we were about and who we came from, and letting them hear our music. And from there, we were able to start touring all statewide, and be able to hit up places like Maine and further on the East Coast. And we were actually getting like radio play, which then led to Roadrunner noticing who we were. And that was like right when internet was really starting to become a tool for bands, using websites like mp3.com and Napster to our advantage, while Metallica were using it to their disadvantage. For a brand new band like us, we were like, oh man, you mean people in India can hear our music? Who cares if they pay for it? What did we care about stuff like that back then? So we just wanted everyone to hear it, and that that helped us get to Roadrunner, and that too was a short time frame, but that's a lot of luck, and they like the music, and end of story. If your music's not good, it doesn't matter how hard you work. I know artists that have been doing it for a lot longer than we have, and they're still in Cleveland and still not signed. And I don't know that we possess some kind of magical power that they don't, other than maybe we have more drive. I don't know. I have no idea what it is. I think it comes down to the music at the end of the day. So.
All right, that's probably a good way to look at it. Drive yourself crazy otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, what else is it? If it not, what is this? You know, we're not like sexy pop guys that are, you know, it's just what it is. We are what we are.
There's some fans that might debate that point. Slipknot has a little bit of an Iowa complex, actually. Like, they talk an awful lot, even naming an album after the concept of coming out of a state like Iowa, which I'm sure is a lot different from Ohio, but it's still kind of one of those. It's not exactly a coastal state. You're not, you know, downtown LA playing your music. I just wondered if you related to that at all.
I definitely don't. I think Cleveland is way more of a recognized city for music, and I mean, we have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's, you know, there have been successful bands to come from here: Bone Thugs and Harmony, Nine Inch Nails. You know, so I don't think it's so foreign. And, you know, we were inspired by bands like Integrity, who were metal, like one of the first metalcore bands, if not the inventors of it. And to us, they were like a giant band because they'd play, you know, a 600-seat venue sold out. And so for us, that was like the world. And yeah, I mean, so we've kind of like been blessed to be around like a positive scene. And it's always been a metal town, and there's never been a shortage of like good metal around, you know, like local metal. So, I don't think that we can. I've been to Iowa, and it reminds me nothing of Cleveland. And the people don't remind me of anything of Clevelanders. So the only thing I can relate to with Slipknot is their passion for the music, and yeah, they're some of the greatest dudes ever.
Do you still live in Cleveland?
Yes.
Do you support the local scene? Do you go out and see shows?
Yes, occasionally. Not so much the metal stuff anymore, but we definitely still do support the metal scene. For example, every year we do our Christmas show, which is an annual sold-out event at the House of Blues. We invite local metal bands to perform with us. Right now I'm helping out a younger band that's kind of got a heavy edge to them, but they're more on the experimental side of things. This band called Ohio Sky, and they're like a lighter Tool. You know, have some parts that sound like Tool. There's some stoner parts. You know, you really can't really describe them by comparing them with other bands, but you hear a lot of familiar sounds that you grew up listening to. So I think, you know, they're like one of the best acts to come out of the area. And in the rap scene, there's a new guy named MGK that's really exciting right now, and we might actually get like another rap star to come from the era, which would be cool. Kid Cudi did well. So I still think that, you know, our city is doing great musically and still has tons of like awesome talent that are making noise on all different kinds of genres. And yeah, I don't think, you know, we're going anywhere anytime soon. Yeah,
that's awesome. Do you have any advice for up and coming bands?
The music is the most important thing. I think you said that like 9 times. Like, yeah. Just concentrate on that. Write good songs.
Right.
You know, I think so many bands today are concerned with having the heaviest parts, and they forgot how to write songs. You know, something memorable that people can sing along to and relate to, not just show off how technically technically good you are at the guitar. Like, I don't care. There's no emotion behind it. So yeah, let's get back to some, you know, it's good to have that technicality and good to have that aggression, but put it back into some songwriting.
Do you have an I mean, you mentioned that one of the bands you're working with, Ohio Sky, is sort of experimental. Do you appreciate like experimental?
I guess you'd have to define that a little clearer. I really am kind of a meat and potatoes guy. I think that I would disappoint a lot of like true metal fans with, my iPod collection. At the end of the day, I'm coming home listening to rap, and I rarely listen to metal anymore. But I've also been listening to it for over 25 years now. So, I pretty much know the genre inside and out. And when there's new artists that come with something different, I definitely check them out. But yeah, I just, music for me is just fun anymore. And if it's got a good beat and a good feeling and a good vibe, then I pay attention to it. And, I'm just looking for a feeling anymore. And I listen to the classics I grew up on, your Metallica, Slayers. Those are the metal bands I still listen to because they're the greatest ones. So,
do you like any new music, like metal?
I do. Yeah, I do. I really liked Whitechapel when I heard them. I thought they were out of the whole new breed of popular heavy bands that have been coming up for the past few years. I think I like them the most. Whereas they, do a lot of the fast stuff. I like their groove the most. I guess, yeah, that's, I liked, I'm trying to think what else. I appreciate, what our peers are doing, or what, bands that we came up with are doing. I like, the new Lamb of God. I like the new Kill Switch. I still listen to bands, that we tour with, I would say. And I listen to their new efforts, and, not only because, these bands are our friends, but, respect them musically, and have spent so much time on the road with them. It's, exciting to see, their progression. So if we've toured with them, more than once or twice, and, you can bet I listen to them still. In Flames, Slipknot. I still check out all their new albums.
You ever listen to Gojira?
Yeah, they're fantastic, and they're a band that I'd love to share some stage time with. We played one festival together, and I was a fan of their music at that point, and stood on the side of the stage like a fanboy geek, and air drummed and air guitar for 45 minutes straight to their set. Big fan, definitely.
Let's see. You played farmclub.com. Dead Inside, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That was actually the first Chimaira song that I ever heard. Did the Farm Club show do anything for you? Well,
that was in the year 2000, so 11 years ago, and you just brought it up right now.
That's a good point.
It's still to this day has a similar story. There's countless fans all over the world. Some of them saw that on YouTube. That they'll bring up the Farm Club thing. So it's that is definitely the definition where you referred to the Tom Waits interview of the embarrassing high school picture. that would be the cream of the crop. That's the that's the afro and the short shorts. Definitely. But it was a huge experience for us. It put us on national TV in front of over 3 million people, and even if only a small percentage of those people like it or remember it, that's still a big number. So it's definitely helped, and it's never been like a curse or anything like that. Contrary to people, our peers or other bands or people making fun of us for it, it's never hurt anything. So, so it's always helped.
Awesome. Have you ever heard of a band called Dog Fashion Disco?
Yes, former Roadrunner band, if I'm not mistaken.
I recently talked to their singer. They also did the Farm Club thing, and I think he pretty much had the same thing to say.
It was a cool deal, man. They for us, we were an unsigned band, and they paid us, flew us out to LA, put us in a nice hotel, and gave us free access to Universal Studios to go to the theme park and all that.
Rad.
And treated us amazing. I think they even gave us like $1,000 cash to go screw around in LA, and put us on in front of on TV in front of millions of people. So it was one of the coolest experiences we had for sure. And for an unsigned band, like, to be treated like that was just pretty overwhelming and hard to like really fully digest and for many years to come.
I guess jumping ahead, when Andals came back, I think it was 2005, Chimaira dropped off the East Pack Antidote tour, which was, Soilwork, Sonic Syndicate, Caliban, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any reason for that? I mean, why'd you drop off the tour?
Anytime that a tour or that tour or any tour for that matter is canceled, there are usually a myriad of reasons. And I mean, we hate to do that more than anything. Touring is our source of income. We don't get paid on record sales and anything like that. So, for us to cancel a tour is similar to anyone that works a 9 to 5 basically saying, I'm going to take off 3 months of work and do nothing.
Yeah.
So, at the time, I couldn't even, honestly, right now, go back and remember all of the reasons. There's just no way. It was so long ago, but a big thing of what I remember was we were just burned out. We wanted to write, and we didn't want to tour. And we kind of felt that if we went and kept touring versus, going home and writing, because we were inspired to, that it would be disastrous. So we avoided it. So yeah, there was just a feeling of over creativity and burned out, probably mixed with 30 or 40 other things. Honestly, who knows anymore? But it's never an easy decision, and I guess that's the one thing I wish fans would understand the most. It's believe me, there's no other place we'd rather be. Mentioning earlier, we all have responsibilities, and that's our paycheck. That is our 9 to 5. And if we're not working, then there is no chance of income unless someone goes and gets a day job or something like that. And we can't really be expected to have day jobs and be able to write music and tour 7 to 9 months out of the year, whatever it may be. So it's a big deal, and we don't like doing it. But sometimes it has to be done for reasons out of control.
I don't really want to bum you out about the Roadrunner stuff, but you left Roadrunner, or you were asked to leave, I think. I don't know which one.
We asked to leave, yeah.
You asked to leave? And now you're with Ferret. Do you still have any connection with Roadrunner?
No, actually, we've been off Ferret as well. We just signed to E1 last week, so we're now with them. But with Ferret, our contract ran up and everything was on good terms. So it was just, we were free agents at that point. Best way to describe it. With Roadrunner, at the time, we felt that the U.S. weren't really giving us a fair shake in promotion, and we wanted to try our efforts elsewhere. But as far as contact with Roadrunner, just definitely still have some great friends over at the label, and still in contact with them to this day, and have nothing bad to say about the label. In hindsight, I think we were just needed a scapegoat for things not going the way we wanted them to. And Roadrunner was the best scapegoat to use. It's definitely, in our eyes, it's never the band's fault. You know what I mean? But they did do a lot of stuff, and they helped build our career, and we have to thank them for that. But just at the time, to us, they were a cocksucker record label. But that was just us being angry at the moment, and we definitely don't feel that way anymore. And they did some good things for this band, and put our records in stores for people to hear it.
Would you ever consider re-signing or rejoining Roadrunner ever?
It's funny you asked that. There was a moment in time where we explored the option when we were free agents this summer to maybe work with them overseas again, but things just didn't work out, and we have another idea. So, but yeah, we had entertained the idea. They're an amazing label overseas. Their UK department, especially, it's one of the best labels for heavy metal I've ever seen. They just really know how to build an artist over there.
So you're excited about U1?
Yeah, definitely. They're one of the few labels out there doing different things to sell CDs in an era where people don't really want them anymore. And metal still has loyal fans and still has an audience of people that want the physical product. And of course, we want to help them get that. And E1 has some innovative ideas to make it interesting for those people still, so it's not just the same old thing. And yeah, they had a really good approach to marketing, and I thought they did a great job with Zakk Wylde's record. And they have some artists that have solidified a name for themselves in this genre that it's nice to be partnered up with. And I don't feel like we're on a flavor of the month record label.
Back on the subject of Roadrunner, you were part of the All-Star Sessions. The Enemy, I think, was your song that you did vocals for and lyrics.
Right.
What was that? How was that experience?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I had heard that the album was going to happen from a friend at the label, and I was, secretly hoping that, oh man, I hope I get asked to do something, because that sounds pretty awesome. And when I was pretty blown away to hear that Dino and Andreas and Roy and Paul were going to be on my track. So that was huge for me, and I really took pride in it. That was the first time I ever worked with Jason Sukoff too, and that really helped. That actually sparked for him working with us. You know what I mean?
See, the musicians listed are Howard Jones, Rob Flynn from Machine Head, Jordan Whalen from Still Remains, Jeff Waters, Annihilator, Christian Oldwebers, and your own drummer, and of course Dino and Ray Mayorga writing. And so it is really like an all-star effort. Did you get to meet any of those dudes? You actually get to get some hands-on experience with that? Oh
yeah, I think what you're reading is there's each song is different artists. Mm-hmm. The one that you mentioned was like Howard and Mandels and Rob, that was like a completely different session. The session I worked on with Dino and all that, I've met all those guys before just from touring and whatnot, but for the track, I was just I think I just emailed or mailed files, like a WAV file of the instrumental track, and I went into the studio and just recorded it, and then emailed my vocals back to them and to the mixer. I think Colin Richardson mixed the song I was on.
Do you do all the lyrics for Chimaira?
Yes.
And you are the principal songwriter as well.
It's mainly Rob Arnold and myself. We do 98% of the writing for the band.
So does that get stressful? Out of curiosity.
I guess it depends on the year. This time around, I would definitely say 50-50. You know what I mean? Some days it's easier some days are easier than others. But at the end of the day, it's awesome to be able to express yourself that way. And there's nothing more rewarding when you write a really great riff or a vocal line or whatever that gets everyone in the room excited. You know what I mean? Then you can just imagine your fans getting excited to it.
Did you have any relationship with Kerry King? friendship?
Yeah, we toured with Slayer in 2001, and the first night, Kerry was cool, and he was like, "You guys come up to our room and have some shots of Jaeger after the show," and the friendship was formed then. Yeah, we see each other after that. If Slayer comes to town, we'll go hang out, or sometimes when we roll through his area, he'll come out. So yeah, we've been maintaining it for quite a few years, and he's an awesome guy and a huge inspiration. And I will say, I grew up with posters of him on my wall, and this complete image of this dark and evil guy. So when I went to his house the first time and saw that he had a ladder and a lawnmower, some of the evilness and darkness kind of went right out the window. Just seeing how unnormal of a guy he was. But and it kind of, you look on, when I watch him on stage now, he's more like my friend rather than the evil satanic guitar player or Slayer that I still steal riffs from to this day.
It seems a little bit more mortal to you now.
Yeah, that's right.
I only ask because I read somewhere that he gave you a tip on who to look at for drum duty in 2002 when you're meeting a drummer.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
By the way, Mythbusters used The Impossibility of Reason in one of their episodes.
Yeah, yes they did.
Did you catch that?
Yes, I did, for sure. Yeah,
it must have been kind of cool.
It was a pretty cool thing. I've actually been talking about it with some of my friends recently, so it's kind of funny you mentioned that.
Let's see. I think the first time I actually saw you, I'm sorry to say, was at Sounds of the Underground. Do you remember that tour at all? Yeah,
why are you sorry to say that?
I feel like I was a little late.
Oh, no, that's all right, man. It's never too late. The last tour we did, a lot of people I talked to, they're like, yeah, it's our second time seeing you guys. We got into it on the Mayhem Festival, which was, just last summer. So it's never too late. Which Sounds of the Underground?
Let's see. It would have been in California. Shoreline, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like what year?
Oh, God, I couldn't even tell you.
We did it twice. We did it once in the...
Oh, it was the first one, the inaugural.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Death Clock. You played with Death Clock in 2008.
Right.
What led to that? What made you want to open up for Death Clock?
It was an interesting tour. It was something different and out of the box, and put us in front of a whole new audience of people that like the genre of heavy music, but a lot younger of an audience than I guess we were used to playing for. And a lot of these were like young kids, and it kind of put us in front of I don't know how to describe it, like a World of Warcraft audience, like the basement dweller audience, I guess, that might not have enough time in between gaming to discover new bands, but they know who Death Clock are, so they come out and see it. So, yeah, it just, diversified our audience, and it was a really cool production and tour, and they were great to tour with as well.
The basement dwellers, they're a loyal fan base.
They definitely are, and that's why I'm not insulting in any way, shape, or form.
Do you have any affinity for gaming, Dungeons and Dragons, World of Warcraft, any of that kind of stuff?
No, I do not. But I do not look down on it. I have my own totally geek side. I watch tons of. I'm more of a TV guy. I'm obsessed with TV, so I'm always watching documentaries and nerdy stuff regarding science and astronomy and aliens and that whole world of stuff. So I mean, half the time when I'm having a conversation with somebody that's non-music related, people look at me like I have 12 heads. So
dude, that's the best stuff. I stay up all night watching UFO hunters and shit.
Yeah, I like anything I love Nat Geo and the Science Channel, not Sci-Fi, SYFY, even though they do have some hysterical things on there. But science and Nat Geo and history and Discovery Channel pretty much keep me occupied.
On the subject of Death Clock, I guess, what do you think of Death Clock themselves, like the music? A lot of metalheads were saying that Death Clock, a cartoon band, essentially like this generation's and this genre's The Monkees, like it's the best metal band out there right now.
I don't think that much into it, man. I don't know. It doesn't, to me, I just thought they were a cool band and it's a cool show and cool guys, and it ends there. Yeah, I like the music and I don't listen to it on a regular basis, but I don't dislike it in any way, shape, or form.
Do you have any future plans to work with Brendan?
If he calls me, I'll pick up the phone.
Nice. I'm actually going to be talking to him tomorrow.
You could talk to him about, we shared horrible movies. He introduced me to a movie called The Room, and I don't know if we introduced him or reminded him, I can't recall, but of the masterpiece Troll 2. So those are things that we shared with each other on tour, so maybe you can bring that up in your interview and talk about Troll 2 or The Room. He'll be excited.
Nice. Bad movies. Got it. Thank you. That's rad. I'll definitely I'll tell him you say hi.
Right on. Yeah, it was cool. In one of the episodes where they shop, there's got a screen cap of it. It says at the Chimaira Mart. So he name dropped us in the show. That was pretty cool.
You did. I read that your bassist just recently resigned.
Yes.
Or retired.
Yes.
I'm assuming, by judging by the use of retired, it must have been amicable.
Right.
Is there? I mean, you sorry to see him go. Is there anything you can tell fans to look forward to, or?
With any member leaving, it's you always want it to be amicable, and definitely wish the guy nothing but good luck. But you're sorry to see the person go no matter what, unless, it was a completely toxic relationship, which in this case, not so much. So it's cool, and wish him well, and it really has no bearing on the creative side of things. Not to, say that Jim wasn't a part of the group, but when it came to writing the songs, and the sound of the band, which again we'll get back to is the most important thing, is the music. He wasn't, as integral of a member. You know what I mean? So it's, if anything, we're going to make sure that the bass is maybe accented a little more so now, and live will. We're obviously going to find somebody that can play the stuff, and look good on stage. So I would just say for fans not to worry about anything. I would worry if I was out of the picture or Rob was out of the picture or something like that. But it's for songwriting purposes and how the music would sound. And that's just like any band, though, like when either the main songwriter or the singer leaves, it's very problematic after that. Sometimes, unless you're Journey or whatever the hell the band is, Iron Maiden, sometimes the band gets bigger. but it's more common, though, unfortunately. It's harder to pick up the pieces when a key songwriter or a singer leaves.
So he's just tired of the game, or has he got a family? He's got something else he needs to worry about.
Right. He recently got married and whatnot, and he had some good opportunities. He's also a barber as well. Having that to fall back on all these years, once you're settled in at home for a while, it's kind of hard to get back in the bus and go through the trenches again. You know what I mean? So it's completely understandable. And no harm, no foul. It doesn't affect Chimaira's business, and the show goes on.
Is there anybody you're looking at to replace him?
At this time, no. What we've been doing for the past year, I'd say, we've had Emil Wursler from Doc filling in. He filled in for our guitarist Matt DeVries when Matt had he left for a while he didn't have a baby, but his girlfriend did. But you know what I mean? And then he filled in for Jim when Jim got married. So it's kind of like when Jim left, it was just made sense to keep Emil there, and he was available. So I guess until Emil's not available, then we'll worry about it. So I don't think we're like looking for a brand new member at this time, but you know, we'll see where we are after the album. Once we're done with the album, then we're going to assess touring and everything like that.
Let's see. The Infection. What was the Infection inspired by? Like, what are the central themes in the album? I
don't really know about like what it would be inspired by. We wrote it on tour. We actually started writing it on the Death Clock tour. We wrote it, Rob and I want to say we wrote 8 songs in the back lounge before we even got home. We just kind of liked the vibe of how it was sounding. It was just capturing, you know, the good mood we were in. And, you know, we were on a good tour, and the Resurrection cycle was coming to an end. It was the last tour of that. Everyone was in good spirits, so we just kind of had fun and kicked back, and it was a very like relaxing effort, writing the, you know, the basic arrangements and riffs and whatnot. Then the next few months were teaching everyone how to do it, and everyone else had their 2 cents. We went into the studio, and then that's where all the vocals and electronics were written. And vocally, just kind of had a theme of kind of trying to come out of a negative time stronger, and paralleling it with real life instances that I had been through, paralleling it with movies that I found interesting, to kind of combine the two to kind of make this new world that is part reality, part fantasy type thing, you know. Lyrics and vocals were predominantly freestyled, so I'd kind of go in there with nothing and get a few words. I liked the sound of it, and then just kind of went to my own little world and wrote it down real fast and tried to track it, and boom. So it was just a lot of in the moment and spontaneity, but it was also carefully thought out in my mind in advance.
Well, something worked, I guess. It debuted at number 30 on Billboard. 15,000 units moved in the first week.
Yeah, I mean, that's like you said, the loyal fans. We have very loyal fans, and being a good live band and delivering a show and delivering consistently good records to our audience, they're very appreciative of it. And, you know, I guess if you want to use the word reward us, I would definitely, they reward us by buying our album. So it's a fair trade.
Going to the show and wearing the shirt.
Exactly. And coming to see us.
Right. And in some cases, interviewing you.
There you go.
You also marketed it, I don't know if you did personally, but it was marketed in a very cool way. Downloadable content for Guitar Hero, fan-made video contest, bunch of stuff. Yeah, it was a collaborative effort between the band and the record label, just coming up with ideas and you know, doing things out of the box. And again, at the end of the day, it is a business, and we are in the business to sell our music. I wish we could be a charity and do it for free, but until fans can figure out how to put food in my fridge and keep me entertained and my house warm, you know, we somehow need to get paid for it. Well, speaking of getting paid, though, you also streamed, I think, the whole album on MySpace. You gave away Destroy and Dominate on Twitter. So has that worked out for you at all? A lot of bands are doing free streams of the album, or sometimes giveaways for like short periods of time.
Yeah, well, we're realistic. We, like I said, you know, when we started, we came from an era that was using Napster, you know, we were using it to our advantage, and we were excited about the prospect of giving our music away for free and what that entitled. And we've never lost that to us, you know. We've never lost that side. You know, from the day one, we've always tried to, you know, give away free content, whether it be through, you know, video webisodes or making ofs or MP3s or whatever we do. We understand the importance of that, and as fans of music, we also understand the excitement of that, and all the marketing stuff that we come up with would be stuff that we would be excited about, and, you know, things that are based off of ideas that excited us. You know, for example, we thought it was awesome when Nine Inch Nails came out with Ghosts, and they had all those different versions to buy. So we wanted to do something similar for the Infection. And, we didn't go as crazy or as elaborate or completely rip off every single aspect of it, but it's just the approach, the big picture, more options. As fans of Nine Inch Nails, we were excited that there were more options. So, we bought the stuff because we're fans. And it's the same thing. So, we designed cooler outlets for our fans to own our music. And, it's all based off what would excite us. And some things work, some things don't. It's not like a magical, I wish it was that easy to if you do this, you'll sell more. No, it's all what we think and we hope will work. And if none of them sell, then so be it. It wasn't meant to be. Try again and whatever. I mean, you can't force people to like your music. So, yeah, I mean, you can come up with a really cool fucking thing, but I mean, at the end of the day, if they don't like the music, then it's not going to work.
Yeah. I guess speaking of the music, the album is in drop C, some of the songs in drop B.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty low sound. I mean, what does it bring to the sound of the album?
I've never really looked at the choice of the tuning, other than, I guess, C being considered a dark key. We've experimented with all sorts of tunings throughout the years, from drop G to drop A, and so I don't know. I just think it fits what we're trying to do the best. And we like a dark sound, and it's very fitting to our environment and where we come from. Our city is dark all of the time, and it's dreary. And I think the keys that we use, or the tunings that we use, really, I guess, are are products of our environment and what we like and who we are. And I never really thought too much about it. That's a guitar. I'm the type of guitar player that knows nothing about the guitar. I just know how to write riffs. But I mean, maybe if you want to ask that question to one of our guitar guys that would get way more technologically nerdy about it, I'm sure they'd be more than willing to and love to answer the question.
Regardless, I mean, it sounds great. Did you ever think of maybe moving to 8 strings to handle that kind of tuning?
I have one, and I've messed around with it a little bit. We even have one of the new songs written with one. I just don't want to fall into this category because it's popular now. People to think that we're jumping on some sort of bandwagon, when in fact, our first album is the entire album is in drop A and drop G. So, and there's even a song in G standard, and we were using 7 strings back then. But we just kind of we got away from it because we wanted to have the freedom to be thrashier without it sounding as muddy. And at the time, we couldn't afford good equipment, and the 7 strings didn't sound the way they do now, and they weren't manufactured as great, and the tones weren't as good and as clear. So I remember changing to C for a clarity thing as well. And but now it's the technology has improved, and the guitars are better, and the invention of the 8-string does now make low tuning sound good and clear and audible. And not afraid to experiment with it. If the song is awesome with it, then great. But we're not interested in following the wave of how low can you go, chug, 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 this is the heaviest breakdown ever, followed by the heaviest breakdown ever, followed by the heaviest breakdown ever. It's just not interesting.
But I did recently talk to Odorous Urungus from Guar, and their new album is written on 8 strings. They use 8 strings on stage.
That's killer.
And yeah, he loves it. He said it sounds like the guitars are just vomiting, and he calls them the beaver tails.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
I guess, yeah, that dude is. Have you met him?
Yes, we've toured with Guar on 2 occasions now, and he's a great dude.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's
really
awesome.
funny.
I have to ask though, is he like that all the time? Is that really him?
Yep.
He just is there is no character.
Right, there's no character there.
That's pretty rad, because I couldn't tell, because I interviewed him in San Francisco at the Regency, and I'm looking into his eyes, and like he's just got this giant fake penis pointed right at me, and he's totally comfortable, and I'm starting to wonder if he's losing touch or if this is actually him.
Yeah.
Is he really a crack addicted alien? Yeah. So I don't know. I guess 8 strings are catching on in a way, but not. Hopefully not. I don't see it as in the same way as auto-tune, where people are kind of abusing it and making it a gimmick.
Yeah, I hope not. I really like what Stefan did on the Deftones album. I thought that was a great representation of it. I like the new Acacia strain for heaviness. I thought they used it in a very groove-oriented way, and the mix on it is so crushing. That the tones just sound so clear, and really gave me some hope on if we did want to, at the end of the day, use it or use a song with one, knowing it would sonically it would have the ability to sound fantastic. Yeah, but who knows? I'm a huge fan of them. If Chimaira doesn't do it, don't put it past me to do something on my own with one.
Ooh, have you ever done a solo record? Are you interested in doing anything solo?
I have not. I've done stuff where I've jammed with some friends here and there and put out a couple songs on the internet. Nothing too major. But I have explored the idea more so, I guess, in the past 2 years than ever. But if I'm going to do something, I want to do something worth my while, and I really would like to, I guess, make it a collaborative effort more than just like a solo thing. Maybe I more or less want to work with some musician friends that, they themselves are tied up. So it wouldn't be so much of a serious project more than it would be for fun and the enjoyment of doing it.
What you need to do is put out a rap record. I would buy that.
As much as I love the music, I don't think you'll have me spitting on the microphone. But don't put it past me to work on the production side of it. I'd really be into doing something like that. Still young enough.
I actually can't get past the idea now of you doing a rap record. That'd be just so awesome. Hilarious and awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if I did it too, I don't know that I would let anyone know that I did it.
You should do rap versions of Chimaira songs.
When the Infection was written, there were many parts where I was like, I could this riff is such a good groove that it would work very well with a rapper on it and turn into a loop. And some of our friends that are rappers did come by the studio at the time, and I'd ask them to say freestyle over some of their riffs, and they definitely worked.
Does it sound awesome?
Yeah, for sure. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if the world's ready for that yet. We'll see.
I guess not. I think Limp Bizkit kind of shit in the punch bowl over that whole thing. But
I think there's a certain class for the genre that should stay respected, but at the same time, I'm not like afraid to fuck with it at all. You know what I mean? Like we've always drawn in from outside inspiration, and we've always had other influences besides metal. So, but I don't think that if we had all of a sudden had a rap song that would be tasteful. So I wouldn't worry too much for Chimaira fans that get nervous that I talk about rap. Don't worry. Maybe you would hear Method Man on a song, but we wouldn't have a whole rap song. That's a cool idea. Maybe I'll ask him. There you go.
That'd be so rad. You have at least one buyer. I can guarantee you at least one sale.
Yeah, maybe we're onto something here.
Definitely. Is there any other non-metal music that you can admit to listening to? Besides rap.
Yeah, besides rap, both rap and metal I've been listening to since I was 8 years old. The first two tapes I bought were Slayer, Rain and Blood, and Beastie Boys' License to and so I've kind of followed the genre, both genres, religiously since then. So, I was there during the whole gangster rap phenomenon, and my mom threw away my 2 Live Crew tape, and, I remember, like, the parental advisory stickers coming out and stuff, so it's kind of weird, like, going through all this, but, so those 2 genres mainly, but, I can get into just silly, mindless music like you would hear, like your typical club banger, whether it be Britney Spears or something whatever garbage comes on the radio, I don't mind it. I guess I'm into that age where I'm like, this doesn't annoy me like it used to. So I can definitely get into some of the silly songs that I hear of today. But for more serious like stuff, I get into like I like some of the electronic music, like a Portishead or a Massive Attack. Always been into that for a while. Really big into like the classic rock, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, whether they be the birth of metal, whatever you want to call it. I like there's something about the whole experimentation of that whole genre and the era that I've always been a fan of, and like classical music. And yeah, that's probably, your occasional song from this or that kind of artist here and there. But yeah, the main ones would be metal and rap, I would say. And I like a Nine Inch Nails, some of the industrial bands, like a Rammstein, get into those as well, which definitely evident in like Chimaira music. We've always had that bit of a industrial side to us with our electronic element, and that stems from that whole era, genre, Manson and all that stuff that was like cool in the 90s when we were all growing up.
You are the singer of Chimaira. Is there anything else you do? Paint, write?
This is my 9 to 5. This is my bread and butter. This is what I've been doing with my life for 12 years, other than being a family man and helping some bands out here and there. This is what I do. Straightforward.
That's kind of cool. You kind of turned the rock star thing into, working man, blue collar kind of thing.
Well, the song "Working Man" by Rush is synonymous with Cleveland. If you know anything about Rush, that's where first they started playing that song for that band, and I guess that's just the Cleveland mentality.
Let's see. I'm pretty much out of questions. Is there anything you want to leave us with?
Man, I think you've covered every end of the rainbow and spectrum that I can think of.
Is there anything that you wish you could be asked?
Wish that I could be asked. No, man. I mean, I take what we do very seriously, and I don't really care, I guess, what anyone else in the genre is up to anymore. I used to. There was a time. So I think right now it's just this relationship now is between Chimaira and Chimaira's fans. And that's kind of an exciting position to be in. Like, we're not really trying to do anything but that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's non-Chimaira related, but there's nothing really I have to get off my chest.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.